everyone, my name is the Theme Park Evangelist. Well, I apologize that I am a day behind once again doing my How to Stay Faithful and Focused on God During Difficult Times. I promise this time I had nothing to do with sickness. Actually, yesterday I was feeling fantastic. In fact, yesterday was a really great day because of the fact that, not meaning to be political or anything, but the man I voted for took back office yesterday, and that's as far as I'm going to go with that. And, I'm not going to judge anybody for who they voted for. I love everybody and respect everybody, regardless if you voted for him or if you voted for, I hate to say it, but without TJ being right by my side, I truly do not remember her name offhand. So, I'm just going to leave it with that. So, anyway, I did watch the inauguration, and I would have watched it even if she had gotten in, either way, because I'm respectful. Hey, I watched the inauguration when Biden took office, even though I was very disappointed the person I actually voted for didn't get in, because at the end of the day, God has every say on who gets in, whether it's the person you voted for or whether it's the person that, say, for example, your next door neighbor voted for. It's all up to God at the end of the day. And I'm still going to watch the inauguration even if I didn't get my way, because I feel like that's a respectful thing to do. It just makes it even better when, the person you did vote for got in. I'm sure. So anyway, on a different note, I am excited to say as of today, CapCut has restored their services to the U.S. And my apartment, or my dryer, must be creaking. It's not really my apartment or my dryer, it's really my roommate's, but I'm just saying it's mine in the meantime, just because of the fact that it doesn't really make any sense to say his or my roommate's when he ain't even here right now. But anyway, so I just did my. You know what? Let me pause this because this is kind of disrespectful. So anyway, I did my the theme park evangelist introduction vlog for 2025. So 2016 through 2024. However, though, I upload it every January of 2024. Even though I pretty much make my decision usually about the end of 2024, or the end of the year, I should say, I always like to hold off until January, and the reason why is primarily timing more than anything, because let's face it, December is kind of a crazy month. We all know that. But, you know what, I'm going to stop this from going dark on me, that way I don't get distracted. I forgot about that, because my phone goes dark after 30 minutes, and not 30 minutes, 30 seconds, and it's kind of annoying. Especially when I'm trying to vlog or do DoorDash. So, yeah. I'm just like, you know what, just stay lit for now. And, December is a kind of a crazy month. And by the time December gets done, January rolls around. January is a very slow month, on the other hand. It's like, okay, well, now we finally have a little bit more time to get some more stuff done, like the introduction vlog, which takes time. I won't deny it. It takes usually about 45 minutes for me, and I don't always have 45 minutes just laying around. Now, the month of January, I do. That's normal, especially at the job I'm at currently. Lord willing, I'll be done there in a few weeks, but we'll see what happens. So, yeah, I'm, very happy that I did manage to compile together a bunch of clips, and I'm very happy I was able to use my CapCut video editing app again. I only had to wait really a couple of days or a few days before I got it back. I figured, oh, this will all blow over soon, and I was right. Trump got it back up again. So, very happy about that. But anyway, so since I'm kind of low on time again, because Katie's like, can you be over by 12 o'clock? And of course, naturally, I slept till 10 o'clock in the morning again. And I went, oh, shoot, I forgot. I have clothes that need to be dried. And let's face it, my roommate's dryer, we'll say my roommate's dryer now. It's not the greatest. It takes up to 2 hours before it's done. I mean, it's my dryer at the moment, but at the end of the day, it belongs to him. And I just don't always have 2 hours sitting laying around, but I also know if I don't give it the time it needs, I'll pull out the clothes and it'll be damp, and I'll have no choice but to throw it back in. I'm just like, ugh. So, yeah, I'm just forced to give it some extra time. And, worst case scenario, I take out what I need after an hour plus, and then leave the rest in there. And he's never really noticed, to be honest, that I've ran the dryer without being home. Because if he noticed, he would probably be like, "You're not allowed to do that." And there's a lot of things I'm not allowed to do in here, so I can't wait to move out. But we're not going to go there. He's very black and white. I'm just going to leave it at that. So we're going to go ahead and get into today's topic, which is how to stay faithful and focused on God even while switching jobs. So, switching jobs can be a very discouraging thing. And I've been listening to Star 93.3. For those of you who don't know me, not only am I from Central Florida, not only did I live in Central Florida for 25 years, but I've been living here in Kentucky for 6 years as of June. And I've also been faithfully listening to a Christian based radio station out of Cincinnati. Now, they're not as high profit, or they don't make as much money, let alone are they as big as a Christian radio station I used to volunteer for back in Altamont Springs, Florida. So I hear a lot of repeat songs from the station because let's face it, they don't make as much money, and they probably have less than a million faithful regular listeners, and that's it. Versus Z88.3 that I used to listen to probably has a few million, if not more. So I mean, it's a night and day difference. It's pretty crazy. So I'm listening to it over the Christmas period because I like to listen to them a lot during Christmas because that's when they tend to play a little bit more music. And right now, it's really the only thing I have, and it's been really helping me stay encouraged while I'm being discouraged because I don't know what I would do if I didn't have them right now. But truthfully, I do miss having my car at the Bluetooth right now. But anyway, so I'm listening to them one day, and they were talking about um, you know this time of the year is decision time. Well, that was last month. So apparently December is decision time for most people. That's what they're saying anyway. And that's when I was ironically making a lot of my decisions. What are the odds, right? And I'm like, huh. Like, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to get out of this job I'm in, but at the same time, I have a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty in the air right now. And trust me, they may not have verbally mentioned it, but decision time can honestly carry over into January. And I've been still thinking about it. And I'm just been like, man, what do I do? Well, God knew I was thinking. God has a tendency to read your mind. God already knows what you're going to be thinking, even up to a week in advance. God just knows. So, one of the first signs that God dropped that He knew it was time for me to move on with my career, like with the leaving the hotel. And trust me, a lot of this stuff I would not repeat back to the hotel because I know they won't take it well. There's a certain way you talk to your employer without getting them upset. The first way, I was actually on my way back from the Cincinnati Zoo, checking at the Festival of Lights. Now, I didn't obviously talk about this in any vlogs because it was irrelevant. But there was a sign that says, now hiring, or sorry, not now hiring, my apologies. Now accepting store applications for Northern Kentucky. And there was a Publix logo on the billboard. And this was right as you were entering Northern Kentucky. So I went online. Nothing yet. I was like, well, except for one position. It was an assistant pharmacy manager, which they still haven't filled yet. Not to my knowledge, anyway. And I was like, well, I'm not giving up yet. I'll wait. So I kept waiting and waiting and waiting. And I already knew well in advance that I was going to be staying out in Northern Kentucky Christmas Eve and day because of the fact that it would have just been a little too difficult for me to come all the way from Dry Ridge. I mean, it would have been plausible, but it's hard because of the fact that it's a 30-minute drive out there, and I'm already slow getting up in the first place. So I just made the difficult decision. I'm just going to pack up some stuff and head over there and spend a couple of nights, and that's it. So I'm yeah, 2 nights exactly, and then I'll come right back. I knew my roommate wasn't gonna like it because he doesn't. In some ways, he likes being home alone, but in some ways, he doesn't. It's like he likes. He doesn't like being by himself at night, but he likes being by himself during the daytime. And he doesn't like being by himself at night that often, especially when it's like all at once. So I'm getting tongue tied here. So I'm laying in the spare bed in the spare room, and I'm not talking about Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe, by the way. And I'm just looking at Indeed because that's where I was getting a lot of my resources from at the time. And it showed that Publix was doing a hiring event. So I applied and I was like, if Publix is doing a hiring event very soon, then that means that I should be able to go on Publix's website and apply. I was like, huh. So I went on Publix.com, and sure enough, they were looking for every single applicant that there was for all the different departments for the store, like entry level, blah blah blah. And I was like, like this is awesome. And I immediately applied. I finished the application at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, keep in mind, I was like, by the time I finished, but I pushed through the pain. I did it. I was so proud of myself too. I was like, yay! So, needless to say, another application in the books. I was like, okay, well, now what? So I just kept updating it every day and updating it every day. Now, granted, I have not been on it as much, but I'll get to that. And I waited some time, and I finally got an email, a text message, and of course I checked back on my application, and all three said the same exact thing, which was that they wanted to schedule me an interview for the first or second weekend of January. I don't remember what it was. It's kind of unimportant. Hold on. Sorry. Anyway, so I was like, sign me up for the first Friday in January, and thank goodness I did not have to work that day. But my managers weren't overly impressed when I told them I needed to keep the morning off. They're like, "How dare you? You need to keep yourself open on Fridays. We thought we discussed that in our agreement." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Oh brother." So that's another reason why I'm kind of nervous about leaving, because when I was even looking for a second job back in October, they said absolutely no weekends you can work anywhere else. You have to give your full availability to to us on the weekends. And I'm basically going to tell them I'm leaving altogether, and or I can work one day a week, but it has to be a weekday, and they're not going to be impressed. They're going to be like, but that's unfortunately what happens when you're, I hate to say it, controlling towards an employee, and I'm over it at this point. And this is a job I really want too. Because for those of you who do not know me, I used to work for Publix for almost 7 years. Actually, for 7 years. We'll just go with that because I technically left 3 months before my 7 year mark, so it's close enough. And it's just been a lot of waiting right now, and I'm just discouraged because I don't know how my managers are going to react, and I'm also discouraged because sometimes my job is paying extremely well, like in the sense that they're giving me all these hours, and then they'll turn around and they'll pat themselves on the back and say how they're doing all this stuff for me, and how I owe them. And then sometimes they give me all these crappy hours, and then they'll say, "Well, you just need to be patient with us, and we'll get you back up there." And it's like, I can't keep doing this. This isn't working. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. I love the perks that they give me, which there's a very special team member discount that I get, any Hilton worldwide, and then I also get a family and friends rate, which I know a lot of my family and friends are counting on. But at the same time, I also have a roommate that's extremely black and white, and he expects the utility bill on the third week of every single month, and forcing him to wait an entire week for whatever reason really upsets him. And I assume it's because of the fact that it's cutting into his budget, and he expects me to pay him when it's due. That way, it's not hurting him. He understands it's hurting me, and that's why he's trying to be patient, but he expects me to go find a job that will pay better, so that way when the utilities are due, I pay him, and that way he's not forced to hurt himself for my cause. And then when it comes to the rent, he expects me to pay that all in full as well, so that way he's not forced to hurt himself for me. Here's the funny thing about roommates, guys, and a lot of people don't understand this. Roommates are just people you live with. End of discussion. They want their rent and their utilities all paid in full. If they're wanting to spend time with you, they'll tell you. But most of the time, they expect you to back off, and that's it. You keep to yourself, they keep to themselves. You help clean up the shared area, you clean up the shared area. You buy your groceries, they buy their groceries. You share the everything. This stays the same until you get married, if you choose to go that route. And then it all changes, and then everything is shared: the room, the bed, the groceries, everything. And it's a whole culture shock. It's like, whoa. So I wouldn't feel so bad about staying at the hotel at that point and just trying to work it out with Katie if I did stay at the hotel, because of the fact that Katie and I would just have to work it out that we split the rent and the utilities and everything else in between 50-50, just to make it work so I could stay there just to appease my managers. But when you have a roommate who doesn't want to bend over backwards for you because they expect you to do that for them, which is normal, there's not much you can do. And especially if you have a roommate that's so black and white, that's basically like, look, buddy, if you don't pull your weight, you're out of here. I don't care, what your parents say. I don't care, what you do. You're 31 years old. You're a grown man. You do things my way, or you get out. And that's all there is to it. And, I mean, he's not wrong. I do not care what anybody else says. He is not wrong. End of discussion. It's plain old simple black and white fact. I don't mean to be so vocal about it. I'm just telling the God honest truth. And I'm just like, well, I will just, mention to my dad that, I've contemplated moving back in with them temporarily if, this guy is causing me this much financial stress, and there's nothing I can do about it other than bust my butt that much harder just to afford this place, because that's the only other alternative I have. And of course, I mentioned this stupid idea of moving back to Florida and with TJ, which is a horrible idea, even if it is just temporary. And I already knew my mom would shoot that idea down. I don't want to go into that, but I mentioned that idea too. But the good news is, going back to the Publix thing, so I did go to the Publix interview, and I sat down with one of the store managers of Knoxville, Tennessee. 30 minutes later, she basically said somebody would call me in about 24 to 48 hours to arrange a second interview. And I was like, fantastic, that's great. 5 hours later, they called me, we want to go ahead and schedule your second interview. I was like, what? And I'm like, okay, well, this is great. And they said that I could do it February 16th for President's Day. And I was like, okay, let's just do it President's Day. It's a Monday, it's a slower day. I figured on Monday there would be nobody really checking in or out if it comes down to it, and I'll easily get the day off. It's not like I'm missing out on any holiday pay. It's not a day we do holiday pay anyway. So I just figured I'll just go ahead and request a day off. And, I'm giving them at least a month in advance to make sure that they have enough people. And who knows, I may not have anything to worry about. So I went ahead and told them, oh, yeah, I'm really excited about coming back. I used to work for Publix for 7 years, and I'm, very excited about the opportunity. Oh, used to work for Publix is what I got. Well, in that case, we'll go ahead and start the rehire process that day, is basically what I understood. And we'll go ahead and do your uniform measurements, go ahead and bring 2 forms of identification. They gave me some examples, and we're excited to see you on that day. If you have any questions, give us a call, because I actually found the number on Indeed, because they've been messaging me quite a bit, and I was like, wow, this is great. So yeah, I'm more or less being rehired on President's Day, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm already going in there with that mindset, because that's what the guy presumptuously told me. I mean, it's not official, but that's what I'm understanding anyway. And then I should find out if I do get rehired that day, which, Lord willing, I should. I don't see why I wouldn't. I should find out what my training schedule is going to be like, and which store they're going to be sending me to, and when that's going to all start, and how quickly I even need to give the hotel my 2 weeks notice if it comes down to it. But what does this have to do anything with how to stay faithful and focused on God during difficult times as I come to a close? And the truth is, just stay patient with God. Know that He's got your back no matter what. Remember that God has not left you, that God is going to take care of you, even when um, it seems like you're down in that valley. I just watched the first act of The Pilgrim's Progress presented by the Logos Theater on Saturday afternoon, and I feel like that is a perfect portrayal of a lot of our walks with God these days. For those Christians in the audience I'm talking to, and it's easy to get into that valley of despair where we let the devil talk us into this and talk us into that, and we start believing the lies, and next thing we know, it's like, oh my word, I've literally got myself so discouraged that I don't know what to believe anymore. And that could be said about anything, and that includes whether or not you feel like you're even going to get a job, or even if you're going to qualify for a better job. And I was at that point even when I was first starting at the hotel. I didn't even feel like I qualified to even be there. And I feel like at this point, even though I'm being constantly complimented on how well I'm doing, it's just a matter of like, God, I know I'm constantly being told I'm doing well, but is this really where and you want me to be? Is this really where I need to be right now? Because God, I know for a fact that you put us in places for a time, and that can be said of anybody, guys. But now I'm talking to you guys. Um, God puts us in places for a season, and then God takes us out when He sees fit. But while you're in that place, even when everybody is telling you you're doing a bad job or you're doing a fantastic job and you deserve to move up with the company, you've got to use your intelligence and creativity to your knowledge without being too obvious. So, like for me, for example, I'm constantly being told by a lot of the employees there, not everybody likes me there, but there are quite a few employees there who like me a lot. And they may not tell me outside of work, and some employees there might say it just to be polite because management forces them to. But at the end of the day, you just gotta go along with it and say, well, thank you, I appreciate that. And if they don't feel like that's good enough, just keep going with it. Use your special people skills, if you have any, to do your best to make them happy and keep, pursuing your current goal, whatever that is. But keep doing your best at what you're doing either way. It's like you may not like being there, but still give your 100% to that job, whatever it is, at the end of the day. And that's kind of what I'm going to be thinking when I go back to work for the next 4 days. I don't want to be there, but I'm still going to give my 100% because at the end of the day, God's watching. And secondly, I got bills to pay and I got a roommate to keep happy. And thirdly, because ultimately, Publix will want that from me, even if I'm not there yet, because Publix wants to hear that I'm giving my 100% to a job, even if I don't like it, because they don't want to hire somebody who doesn't want to give their 100%, even if it's to a job they don't like. So I'm gonna keep doing it. They don't mind if you mentally don't like it. They're cool with that. They understand that, but they still want you to give your 100%. And most importantly, God wants you to give your 100%. So Always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And hey, remember, we're all going through challenges in life, even with jobs. But guess what? God is still there with us, and we just gotta stay faithful and focused on Him, and just remember that God hasn't given up on us. Have a great day. Peace out.